new inductees into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so continuing the England theme, the latest Hall of Fame inductees have been announced. So we've had inducted into it this year current players Jane Banks, Michelle Land, Jamie Peacock, and Paul Sculthorpe. Jane Banks.
Well, they're not current players, are they?
Well, sorry. No.
This cohort, if you like.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Jane Banks, 19 caps for GB, 4 tours to the Southern Hemisphere. Started her career in 1996, and then Michelle Land, who played for Wakefield Panthers. She was the captain of Wakefield Panthers and represented GB 16 times. So 2 women inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then Jamie Peacock, who needs no introduction, and Paul Sculthorpe.
Yeah, so we did a bit of digging. Cause if you're not aware of the Rugby League Hall of Fame, like what is the criteria from that? So we did a bit of digging and to get out what the criteria is. This is really important because in Williams Weekly later on in this show, we're going to talk about who we think is going to be the next player or former player to be inducted into the Rugby League Hall of Fame. Now, unless they meet a certain criteria, you're not even going to get nominated. So, Karl, can you just sort of fill us in? Like, who decides who goes in, and what is the criteria to be eligible?
Well, it's a little bit vague who decides goes in, but I think it's a mix of broadcasters, journalists, and officials at the RFL. Between them, decide. And you have to have played. You have to have retired 5 years ago before they will even consider you, and then you've got to have played at least 10 years in the British game to be considered to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Funnily enough, there's a different Hall of Fame in Australia, so surely we should only have one, but that's rugby league for you.
Yeah, it makes too much sense, wouldn't it, to have like a joint Hall of Fame and split it up and have 2. Oh, great. Well, I suppose if they're going to have the criteria like you must have played 10 years at the British, the highest level of the British game, then if you played in Oz, you couldn't get in the Hall of Fame. It's the
British Hall of Fame, essentially. So Jamie Peacock's stats, I did a little bit of digging on Jamie Peacock's stats, which are just off the chart. That the 47 international appearances. Obviously made his debut for Bradford in 1999. Went on to play for Leeds, Hull KR. He won 2 Challenge Cups and 3 Grad Finals with Bradford Bulls. He won 6 Grand Finals and 2 Challenge Cups with Leeds Rhinos. 2003 Man of Steel, and he was inducted into the Dream Team 11 times.
Yeah.
Peacock was just a warrior, wasn't he? And for both clubs, he's as respected as he is at Bradford as he is at Leeds. What your biggest memory of Jamie Peacock? What would you remember him for?
Well, what I remember Jamie Peacock is my favourite player without doubt because he was a warrior. You know what I mean? He played at Leeds. All right, he had a little blip and he started at Bradford and all that. But, he was just an incredible player, incredible competitor. What I remember most about him is the fact that he was actually a late starter to the professional game. When you learn about his induction into the Super League, he was given a chance, wasn't he?
Came through Stanley, didn't he?
He came through Stanley
junior team.
Yeah, but Brian Noble was like, all right. He came for a trial, and he goes, well, God, he runs like a freaking set of scaffolding.
Well, it's true.
But I'm going to give it a chance. He saw something in him. He was just a very industrious player, and gave him a chance. And then to go on and get all these accolades. Was just incredible for anybody who's like a late starter, And the other thing as well is he's incredibly humble in all these accolades. Whenever he talks about it, he'll kind of suggest that he just had good players around him, and you're like, well, no, you're a great player amongst good players, and that made great teams, So
the other thing he's always said is he was an incredibly hard worker, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And that's he just worked his socks off. You never saw Jamie Peacock have a bad game, or if he maybe had a little bit of a bad game when knocked on a few times. His effort level was as high as anybody on the pitch every game. I think my biggest memory of Jamie Peacock was when Fielden was fighting Willie Mason, and he came in and just dusted Willie Mason. just dropped Mason like a sack of spuds. and his lip were always bleeding as well. He played 15 years with a bust lip. What's all that about? Yeah, it was always in the wars. And Paul Sculthorpe, the other one that's been inducted, Paul Sculthorpe, MBE of Oldham, originally came from. So his stats: 2-time Man of Steel, 3 Super League Grand Finals, 3 Challenge Cup wins, and 3 World Club Challenges. 3 World Club Challenges. That's immense just in itself. And he was Super League record signing. Yeah, £375,000. It was paid for him,
and all that. And he was actually plagued by injuries. You know, in fact, both of these players, if you haven't read their books, both phenomenal books. So, you know, seek them out and read them. But when you go into it, he was, you know, really plagued by knee injuries. So to then go on and get all those accolades and have those injuries are phenomenal.
Funnily enough, my biggest lasting memory of Paul Sculthorpe it was also when he was getting stuck into Andy Farrell and the Wigan Saints derby. It absolutely went for Andy Farrell, didn't he? Them two just went off like a bottle of pop that game.
That's the infamous shithouse fight, wasn't it? Where he's like, "You're a shithouse, you're a shithouse." He's brilliant. Just going back to Jamie Peacock, a little bit from his book I just remembered. Apparently someone knocked on his door, like his kids were playing in the garden or something like that. Someone knocked on his door, and like locally, someone had these freaking birds, these peacock birds, right? And they'd gone missing. Right? And apparently, someone knocked on his door and said, "Oh, excuse me, there's a couple of peacocks in your garden." And Jamie Peacock was like, "Yeah, they're my kids." But anyway, something like that. Probably butchered that story, but great book. No white flag.
Yeah, it is.
No white flag in it. Yeah,
no white flag. Jamie Peacock's. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love him. Love everything about what he does, and definitely deserved spot there in the Rugby League Hall of Fame.